No one moved. Not a breath, not a sound. He held the sheet like it meant something more than paper. His voice was low, but it cut through every person at that table. Bring me the real architect now. Silence. Not the awkward kind, something heavier. No one spoke. No one dared. A throat cleared. Eyes darted. A phone lit up and went dark again. And then, barely audible, the slow drag of a broom on polished tile. She stopped. Just stood there. Rubber gloves still on. Back straight. Steady hands. Then she raised her arm. I did it. I'm the one who designed that. No one reacted at first. They just stared, like maybe they'd misheard her. But she didn't waver. That woman, the one who emptied their trash and cleaned their mirrors, was now the only one speaking. And for the first time, every single person in that room looked at her. Really looked. He walked toward her, holding the design up like a challenge. These curves, the light treatment, this airflow through solar glass panels. You designed this? She didn't flinch. Just nodded once. Every line. A voice snapped from the far end of the table. This has to be a joke. Maybe she saw it online. She turned to face him. Calm. Direct. I didn't copy anything. I worked on it during my night shifts after everyone had gone home. I used old sketch paper from storage. I drew it by hand. Scanned it. Printed it. Eyes shifted. HR crossed her arms. With all due respect, you're a janitor. You don't have the credentials for something like this. She didn't look away. I do. You just never asked. The room bristled, uncomfortable. Then came his question, simple, quiet, but final. What's your name? She pulled off one glove, slow and careful, like unveiling something sacred. Joyce Miller. Architecture graduate from MIT. Someone choked on coffee. A director blinked in disbelief. But he didn't move. And no one, could say a word to undo what had just been said. He didn't hesitate. Take a seat. I want to hear everything. She sat. Not timid. Not uncertain. Like someone stepping over a line she'd drawn for herself years ago. He leaned forward, hands clasped. How does someone with your background end up here? She looked him in the eye. After I lost my daughter in a car accident. I couldn't go back to being who I was. She was 6. Her name was Lauren. No dramatics. Just truth. I had a private firm. Big contracts. A stable life. Then she was gone, and I was gone with her. A sharp silence followed. No one even blinked. I sold everything. I just wanted silence. Working here as a janitor gave me space to survive. I didn't have to explain why I wasn't the bright architect anymore. But the love for architecture, it never left. It just got quieter. Another executive leaned forward. Why didn't you mention your degree when you were hired? Her voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. I filled out everything honestly. But no one reads the resumes of cleaning staff. You skimmed. Stamped. Moved on. He looked at the design again. Then back at her. This was a personal exercise. She shook her head. It was a real proposal. I studied the internal designs you rejected, and rebuilt them using the flaws I saw. I left it on your desk, no name, on purpose. I wanted to see if it would be judged for its quality, not the author. He didn't speak. But the smallest smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. And just like that, the room realized, she hadn't stumbled into this moment. She'd engineered it. Quietly. Completely. And now, there was no going back. He stood in the silence, still holding the design. His voice was low, even. None of you knew about this? They glanced around, hoping someone else would speak first. Finally, a younger voice cracked through. She hangs out on the design floor at night. We've seen sketches on the whiteboards. We thought it was doodling. Joyce didn't blink. I studied the proposals you all rejected. I rebuilt them, not to impress you, but because I knew they could be better. He nodded slowly. Then turned to the room. Let's get something clear. Joyce, you're no longer on the janitorial staff. As of today, you're officially part of the design team. No applause. Just stillness. The kind that follows when truth knocks the air out of a room. One director looked down. Another pulled at her sleeve. And then. As for the rest of you. He let the words settle before finishing. You've just been outclassed by someone who didn't even have a seat at this table. No one could argue. Because she wasn't just in the room anymore. She was the reason it had gone quiet. She had waited until every light on the upper floors went dark. On the 32nd, she sat alone, sketches spread out, an untouched coffee cooling beside her. No distractions. No voices. Just paper and memory. She pressed the folds flat, smoothed the edges, checked each line twice. They were the best she'd drawn since Lauren. No name. No logo. Just the work. She slipped the folder onto the CEO's desk. Quiet. Intentional. Not for recognition. Not even hope. A test. If it spoke, it would speak for itself. If not, no one would ever know it was hers. She walked out the same way she came in, unseen. Back in her apartment, she opened a weathered box from beneath her bed. Degrees. Awards. Letters with gold seals. None of it mattered. On top, a child's crayon drawing of a building shaped like a flower. Mommy, I want to live in something you design. Lauren. She held it like it was still warm from her hands. I vanished, she whispered. Because this world doesn't let women like me start over. Not twice. And the man who took Lauren, her former business partner, walked away. No charges. No headlines. He took her firm. Her clients. Even one of her unreleased designs. Used it to build his own. Joyce never fought back. Grief had swallowed her voice. But that folder on the CEO's desk. That was her voice again. And this time, she wasn't whispering. She opened the sketchbook she'd kept hidden for years. No dust left on her hands now, only graphite. On a blank page, she drew a flower rising from concrete. A structure shaped by loss, but rooted in hope. The next morning, she walked back into the office. No gloves. No cart. Just a badge clipped to her chest. Creative consultant. Some stared. Some looked away. No one knew what to say. Then came the summons, top floor conference room. Every senior designer called in. He stood at the front of the room, arms crossed. She sat beside him. This time, no uniform. Just a clean blouse, hair pulled back, a sketchpad resting in her lap. You've all had weeks to submit designs for the Boston Innovation Center, he said. So far, I've seen nothing but recycled ideas. Eyes narrowed. Chairs shifted. You get 60 minutes. No teams. No software. Just paper, pencil, and vision. He turned to the back of the room. And yes. Joyce will participate. A few scoffed. A few whispered. But no one left. She opened her pad. Closed her eyes. Drew like it had always lived inside her. While others reached for rulers and erased again and again, her lines never paused. She didn't need validation. She had purpose. And the room knew it. She wasn't just allowed in. She was setting the bar. Time was up. He pointed to her without hesitation. Joyce. You're first. She rose quietly, carried her sketch to the board, and pinned it up. Not one word wasted. A public research center, she said. Elevated gardens. Reflective solar glass. Natural airflow corridors. And a central atrium shaped like an open flower. She paused, eyes steady. It's not just a building. It's a healing space. A place that welcomes instead of intimidates. No reaction. Not at first. Then came the discomfort. Executives shifting in their seats. Some stared at the floor. Some finally looked at her, really looked. Because they knew. They hadn't just missed her. They'd dismissed her. Then Sandra spoke. It's a nice concept, sure, but it's not practical. A good sketch doesn't make it structurally sound. He turned to her, sharp and quiet. You're saying the most visionary design I've seen in 5 years needs your approval to matter? She crossed her arms. I'm saying we have protocol. He stepped closer. No. You're saying you still can't accept that you overlooked a genius. You filed her resume. Ignored her credentials. And you let her clean our offices while she quietly outdesigned every architect in this building. No one came to Sandra's defense. Not one. He picked up a folder from the table. This is Joyce's promotion paperwork. She's now lead designer on the Boston project. Sandra opened her mouth, then closed it. One last try. So now we're hiring janitors to run creative departments. What's next? Letting interns build the foundations. Joyce turned. Calm. Controlled. Maybe the next step is teaching executives how to see below their own ceilings. It landed like a stone dropped in still water. He didn't wait. Sandra, thank you for your service. But your view of leadership doesn't fit the future we're building. You're dismissed. Effective immediately. No applause. No reaction. Just silence. And Joyce, finally standing, not to clean the floor, but to reshape it. 2 days later, she stood in a room she'd only ever entered with a mop. No bucket. No gloves. Just a name printed in gold on a folder waiting for her. He handed it to her. The board approved your promotion. Senior Creative Director for the Boston Initiative. You'll manage a team of over 50. She didn't reach for it. Instead, she placed her own folder on the table. No gloss. No polish. Just pages. I accept. But I have one condition. He tilted his head. I'm listening. She opened the folder. Inside, portfolios, notes, names. I want to build my own team. Not the usual candidates. I want people like me. He said nothing. Let her keep going. People who never got the chance because they didn't have the right resume, or didn't wear the right clothes. He raised an eyebrow. You're talking about recruiting outside the system? She looked straight at him. No. I'm talking about breaking the system open. She flipped the pages. There's a woman in Queens who designs playgrounds by hand. A Haitian immigrant in Brooklyn with a degree, hauling cement. A teen in the Bronx who rebuilt a community garden alone. She closed the folder. I want them. Because the future shouldn't be built by people who only know the top floor. It should be built by those who understand the foundation. He stared for a long moment. Then closed her folder gently. All right. Let's build it your way. And just like that, she didn't just step into leadership. She changed what leadership would mean. Ask ChatGPT. They didn't look like architects. Backpacks instead of briefcases. Sneakers instead of polished shoes. But the work? Revolutionary. Every badge had the same line printed at the bottom. Talent grows here. They called it the Root Project. Not a division. A movement. And months later, the crowd gathered in Boston, not the usual suits and titles, but the ones who keep cities alive. Sanitation workers. Cafeteria cooks. Night shift nurses. They didn't stand in the back. They were front row. He stepped up first, mic in hand. When I first saw the blueprint for this place, I thought it was impossible. Then I met the person who designed it, and I realized what was really impossible, was pretending that talent only looks one way. He paused, then turned to the side of the stage. Please welcome our lead architect. Founder of the Root Project. Joyce Miller. The applause was real. Long, loud. She stepped forward slowly. Navy dress. Hair tied back. A small white flower pinned to her shoulder, just like Lauren used to draw. She looked out, then began. I spent years cleaning the floors of this industry. But the hardest part wasn't the mop. It was being unseen. Walking through a building I dreamed of designing, knowing no one saw me. The crowd didn't move. This center is for my daughter, Lauren. She believed in me even when I didn't. She once told me she wanted to live in something I designed. And now, she does. She scanned the faces. Teachers. Artists. Children on their parents' shoulders. This isn't just architecture. This is redemption. This is a place that says, we see you, we value you, we built this for and with you. She stepped down from the stage. Didn't walk to the VIP tent. She went straight to her team. Before entering the building, she turned her badge over. Picked up a pen. And wrote. For Lauren. We built this together. She didn't look back at the crowd. She didn't wave. She walked straight to her team, the ones no one used to notice. Now, they were the future. No speeches. No spotlight. Just quiet steps and full hearts. At the door, she paused. Took her badge. Turned it over. Wrote with a steady hand. For Lauren. And walked inside. That day, a new blueprint was born. Not for buildings, but for what's possible. More powerful journeys are coming, and we'd love to have you with us. What she started was just the beginning. And somewhere out there, someone else, invisible today, is ready to rise. What will Joyce's revolution build next? Who will rise from the shadows?